Hi there, welcome back to the channel. My name's Rick. You're with the perspective of one. Today's thought is something that I think a lot of us are challenged with, and it's something specifically I wanted to talk about. And I think it's something we've all experienced at one time or another. And that's the silent destroyer, the kind of the silent destroyer of our dreams and goals that lives within our mind. Talking about quitting before you even start. I've tried to record this a number of times. There's always been something that pops up or something that interferes, and I'm going to have another go at it. So here I am trying to get this out there before it disappears out of my mind, or I give up on it and think it's a stupid idea to be putting out there. But I wonder how many of us are out there who've had a brilliant idea or a spark of inspiration that you thought, wow, this is a fantastic idea, or this is something I really want to pursue. And then it could be like maybe starting a new business or maybe writing a book or learning a new instrument. Doesn't really matter. Doesn't matter really what it is. I mean, could even be trying to get into shape, right? So you get this amazing rush of energy, and you can see it all so clearly out in front of you. And you, in fact, finish or picture the finished product, right? So you kind of feel the success. You think, yeah, this is going to be great. This is going to be awesome. And you feel totally accomplished in your mind. But then something happens. And that's that thought that lurks in the back of our heads. That's that what if. It's like, what if I fail? Like, what if people laugh at me? What if it's too difficult? Um, what if I'm playing just not good enough, right? It's almost like there's a movie that plays in your head. You get really excited about something, and then it just shifts, and then it starts to change. The positive thoughts you had just become negative, and then you start playing out every scenario of what if it doesn't work, and every thought you have about what doesn't work works, right? Ironically, you're like, yeah, this is not going to work. That's not going to work, and there's a whole ton of reasons that get in the way, right? You might want to launch a product that gets no sales. You imagine writing your first chapter of a book and it's terrible, right? Maybe you even want to learn guitar and your fingers just won't cooperate. So we end up with this process of a mental rehearsal and mental failure. I think it's a form of quitting. I think we probably have all been there, right? We haven't taken a single step of action. We haven't tried to do or fix anything, but it's shut before it even starts, right? So you open a blank document, you haven't even picked up a guitar, you haven't even figured anything out, but in your mind, you've already tried and you've failed. You've already experienced the disappointment, the embarrassment, the rejection, and because of that, you decide to protect yourself. And you already experienced the disappointment, the embarrassment, the rejection. And because of that, you decide to protect yourself from the pain by simply not starting. Now, this is a powerful yet destructive form of self sabotage. It's a trick our brains play on us. It's a defensive mechanism designed to keep us safe. Like our brains were wired to seek comfort and to avoid pain. And to the brain, the pain of failure is just too much. And the failure of trying and not succeeding is a very real threat. So it convinces us that the best way to avoid that pain So it convinces us that the best way to avoid that pain is to stay in our comfort zone and to never try at all. It's kind of a cruel paradox, actually. By trying to protect us, our minds are actually preventing us from experiencing the very growth and joy that we crave. So, how do we break this cycle? How do we stop quitting before we start? I found the first thing is to recognize the pattern, right? For me, the pattern, ironically, is actually buying things. It's actually even for this video, maybe buy a camera or buy a new microphone, or you try a whole bunch of other things rather than getting into the point of what you're trying to figure out, right? So once you recognize the pattern of kind of avoidance, you become aware of it and you feel that familiar rush of excitement. We need to pay attention to what happens next. When the doubts and fears start to creep in, right? We decide, or what I've decided is I don't ignore them. I kind of acknowledge them and I go, yep, I see you. And I say to myself, okay, there's that voice that's trying to talk me out of this. I hear it, but I'm going to make a small step anyway. And I think that's the key, the small step, right? If we all make small steps towards a goal, all of a sudden it makes it a lot easier. It's because we don't want to get overwhelmed, right? We overwhelm ourselves by thinking about the entire journey before even setting that one step out, right? Like if you want to start a business, you think about building a multi-million dollar corporation, right? You don't just, if you're thinking about writing a book, you think about being maybe a New York Times bestseller. And of course, this is a recipe for disaster because that scale is so immense, it becomes too much, right? So, what I figured out is to try and focus on the smallest, most manageable step. Even for me right now, trying to record this at home. And like I said, I procrastinated. I got equipment. I thought this is not going to sound good. It probably doesn't sound very good, but it's a first step, right? I kind of wrote down some ideas and I decided, okay, I'm just going to take a step. So what I think is the goal isn't to create a masterpiece in that one movement, right? The goal is to break the inertia. And I think that's the important bit. It's to prove to your brain that one small step won't hurt you. In fact, it's just the opposite. It's the first breath of your dream. So what I found out is this is often referred to as taking imperfect action. We kind of wait for the perfect moment to do something, but that perfect moment is probably never going to happen, right? So we plan this out. We think this is going to be excellent or this is going to be the right moment. But that right moment never comes. So what I found is you got to be brave. You got to take that first step, although it is imperfect, and figure it out and take some action along the way. I'm sure I'm going to look back on this video and I'm going to think, well, what was I talking about? What have I done? But anyways, it's a first step. So let's try and reframe what we're trying to do. So instead of seeing failure as the enemy, let's see it as a necessary part of the process. Every time you try something and it doesn't work, you've gained valuable information. You learn what not to do. You become wiser. You become more resilient. It's kind of like failure is not the opposite of success. It's a stepping stone towards success. So quitting before you start, however, is really the only one true failure. It's the one path that guarantees you will never learn, never grow, and never achieve. So I challenge you today. I want you to think about that idea, that dream, that project you have, that one that you've been playing out in your mind for weeks, months, or even years. And I want you to silence that voice of fear for just one moment and take one single step, one tiny, imperfect step. Open the laptop, send the email, make the phone call, buy the paint, go for the 5 minute walk, whatever it is that's holding you back, take that one step. Don't worry about the next step, just that one step. Just focus on it. Because once you take it, you've already done something that so many people won't. You've started. And once you start, you've already won a battle against your own mind. They say that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one single step. I think that's true. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.